Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, your home for all content Marvel Mystic Mayhem. Today's video is going to be about whether you should be leveling the Human Torch or not. The short answer to that is probably not if you have basically any other AoE hero. I think there's maybe some potential for him here, but if you just like the Human Torch, if you want to build a Fantastic Four team, he's totally fine as a character to bring up and level. I just don't think he's the best, even close to the best AoE hero that we currently have in the game, including the one that you should have gotten for free after 7 days with Storm. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about why that might be. We're going to start with his basic attack, all right? Basic attack has 30% chance to apply burning for 5 seconds, and in this game, burns take the attack of the character that applied them, and that's what they apply the damage at. So 12% of the source character's attack as special damage per second. I feel like that's pretty different than some of the other games I played. I guess it depends on other hero collectors and gacha games I played where other damage over time effects and especially burns actually just take a percentage of HP from the enemy or the boss, which is, in my opinion, a much stronger version because it's almost future-proof. So it doesn't matter how much HP the boss has. If you're just taking a percentage of it, that's pretty strong. That's not the case here. They went ahead and made the decision to switch it over to having it scale off of the attack of the character instead. So I think that probably sets the highlights or the artifacts that you're going to use here. So you're going to want to stack attack. That rhymes. Unstable molecules here. Of course, that completely makes sense because you just want to give him as much attack as possible. And then I went with the jetpack here just to give him an additional attack speed bonus. I'm not convinced that maybe this is the right way to go. My idea was basically just you should want him attacking as much as possible. That way you can continue to get a burn. Make sure that a burn is on the enemy that he's attacking and can keep applying the burn. And so I was just get the attacks out as much as possible to make sure that that happens. But sort of the flip side of that is that, you know, he's only attacking usually one enemy at a time, and it's the same enemy until that enemy dies because it's kind of an auto battler to some degree, right? And so once you've got the burn applied, like, is that enemy going to last more than 5 seconds? Maybe if it's a boss, but I'm not convinced basically that attack speed is the way to go, but definitely loading up on attack so that way his burns actually do deal a lot of damage. The only other character that has burns in the game is Man-Thing. And so we'll talk maybe a little bit about that and how that could synergize here. But his 2 mana buff here, he gains ultimate energy. He's got a 300 energy ultimate, so he kind of needs to get that energy, ultimate energy, and it's basically his strongest attack, his ultimate. I mean, that's obvious, but that's his kind of where I think his strength is making sure that you get off his ultimate as fast as he can, and then he gets mad heat, which basically means that, of course, you go from a 30% chance to apply burning to a 100% chance to apply burning, and then also you deal additional damage to burning enemies. So it kind of, his kit kind of makes it seem like maybe they will add more characters that have burning and that he would slot into a team that is like that. So they're kind of giving him maybe some options in the future. Like I said, the only other character that currently has burning is Man-Thing, and I personally don't think Man-Thing is very good. He applies burning whenever he gets hit, and then also on his ultimate here. I'm not a big fan of Man-Thing. I think he's just too slow, and I'm not sure I like his kit that much, but this is a video about Human Torch, so let's get back to that. Okay, so right now then he's probably got to be slotted into a Fantastic Four team because they kind of want you to put the Fantastic Four members together. Supernova deals 20% more damage to enemies in the fire area. And so what this is about basically, okay, so the idea here is that you sort of have a combo that he combos with himself. You put down his 4 attack move here, sets the target area on fire for 10 seconds, dealing 75% damage of Human Torch's attack as special damage to enemies within every second. Notice that this does not apply burning to enemies within the burning blast. And then afterwards, once you have enemies in that target area, you can then use his ultimate Supernova here to deal, a bunch more damage, basically additional 20% more damage on top of his already pretty hard-hitting ultimate here. And then reduces burning enemies' attack by 10%. Sure, that's fine. already talked about the artifacts and what I think you should be running. Basically just stacking up attack. I do think the attack speed might be a little bit helpful just to keep applying that sort of thing. And then I think in terms of highlights, like I put the one on that basically the wearer deals 8.4% more damage to debuffed enemies. I mean, I think he's going to be applying a lot of debuffs. I think you could run him in maybe a debuff-centered team, and I'll show you that in just a second here. And then just increasing his attack, I think that's totally fine. I think, yeah, okay. You should be able to also get one of these from just the free side of the Fantastic Four battle pass type thing. It's not really a battle pass. It's kind of a battle pass. I think this is totally fine, especially if you end up running him on a Fantastic Four team. He gets additional energy generation, and then just flat increases to stats. That's pretty decent. But I do like that he can apply more damage to debuffed enemies here, and then this is actually a significantly more percentage attack increase than some of those other highlights there. So, in terms of Soul Saga, I think the thing you need to probably be going for is Heart 3. So you have to go up the left side here. And the reason for that is that you can turn on his buff, and then basically he's going to have splash damage on his basic attacks. And that means that you're now going to have you're basically going to have 3 total enemies that have burn on them. I think that's probably where he becomes a lot more effective, is when you get that going. But let's just, compared to other AoE heroes like Thor, Iron Man, Storm, is he good? And everybody got Storm for free, so everybody has at least one AoE hero. So we'll just do this on 2 times speed here, and we'll just see what the results are at the end. Obviously, these are 3 stars, and this is a 2-star hero, but it's just a 7% sort of increase in base stats, so they shouldn't be too far off. And I know it's basically going to come down to how I play. But the other thing I want to mention while I'm kind of going through this here, I'm going to get Thor's buff up, is his ultimate applies burning for 10 seconds. Okay. And his basic attack applies burning for 5 seconds. So the way that interaction works is that if you apply burning with the ultimate here, it counts down, and then if he reapplies with basic attack, it only overrides once that counter from the ultimate gets below 5 seconds. So the way it basically works is if he's applying a debuff, if it's longer than the one that's currently on there, it sort of replaces it. So you will get essentially the full 10 seconds out of his ultimate debuff, ultimate burn debuff. Let's do this here. So you don't get cheated out of that. So I made sure to sort of test that interaction. See, I just don't like that it doesn't apply burning in the target area there. I know that it's already doing damage, and that's fine. And I think it could be very useful in boss fights where you're sort of setting things up. So you can imagine, especially with Fantastic Four, right, that you set down his fire. You get increased ultimate damage from Sue, and increased ultimate damage from with her 3D buff, and increased ultimate damage with Reed's ultimate, giving everybody Infinity Formula or whatever it's called. And then you use his ultimate, his Supernova, with the burn on, or with the flame on, and that's going to hit really, really hard, especially because they all have passives that basically increase flat stats for each other too. So I think he could really slot into a Fantastic Four team pretty well. I'm just not as convinced about his viability outside of that. And I didn't do very well here because I was not paying that much attention. But let's look at the stats. So I think he basically gets outclassed pretty easily. So you would have to put him in a Fantastic Four team, I think, at the moment. And the question I keep coming back to, the thing I keep coming back to with this is that, do you need to build a wide roster at the moment? And the answer is no. So you shouldn't, unless you really like them, there's no need to build these teams that go together. You should be building the strongest characters that you can then, the strongest characters are just going to have synergy with whoever. So you should be building those characters instead of, team characters that can only fit within certain teams, and you have to build up the entire team, because until they release a game mode where we need more teams, there's no point, in my opinion. So I think he could be good future, in the future. There's maybe some potential there, especially in a Fantastic Four team. He's probably pretty good. We'll see that when the whole team releases. But at the moment, I think it's somebody you can kind of not spend any resources on. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.